Alright boys, before we dive into this video, I want to clarify a couple of things. First of all, I tried to only include weapons that were made or reprised this season. However, there is one on this list that was made, I believe, in Season of the Chosen, and that is the only exception. And the only reason I put that on here is because it did get a pretty big buff, and I thought it was worth grinding for in this season. Also, keep in mind that this is a relatively short list, and if there are any other weapons you guys think are really good that came out this season, feel free to talk about those in the comments below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting this list at the number 5 spot, we have the new bow that just came out in the Season of the Lost, the Wolftone Draw. Now, I just want to let you guys know I'm not putting this bow on the list solely because bows have mods this season, because obviously Overload Bow is a very good mod, but this bow actually has an absolutely insane perk combination that isn't found on any other bow at the moment. And that perk combination is going to be none other than Archer's Tempo and Adagio. Now, the reason this perk combination is by far just a lot better than anything else you can get on this bow, which by the way, here are all of the perks, you know, there's nothing too insane there. Obviously, we do have things like Impulse Amplifier, Ensemble. There are some good perks, but nothing really competes with Archer's Tempo and Adagio. And for anyone who isn't yet familiar with what Adagio actually does, basically when it's on a bow, after you get a kill, it is actually going to make your draw time slower. However, it is going to increase your damage by a total of 20%. Now, that doesn't sound the greatest at first because you're obviously getting a slower draw time. Obviously, a damage bonus is always nice, but that's where Archer's Tempo comes in. Because every time you hit a precision shot with Archer's Tempo, it is actually setting your bow's draw time to 440. And I'm sure the synergy between those perks just clicked for a lot of you guys. Basically, after getting a kill, you get a free 20% damage buff with literally no cost of draw time because Archer's Tempo completely negates that. I don't know if Bungie is going to change this combo in the future to try to compensate, but as of right now, you are literally getting a free 20% damage buff after getting just one kill. I feel like it's safe to say that this bow is pretty insane, and it might even be the best legendary bow currently inside of Destiny 2. The only real competition I can actually see for it is maybe the Point of the Stag, which, by the way, everybody should get that one as well. It's a really good bow, but other than that, there really just isn't much competition. I think the Wolftone Draw is by far the best bow. Moving along to the number 4 spot, we have the Cartesian Coordinate. Now, I know I said I did not want to include any weapons that didn't come out this season. However, this one's kind of a special case because rapid fire frame fusions did actually get buffed this season, and fusion rifles also have mods in the artifact that make them absolutely insane. If you guys have been keeping up with the PVE meta at all this season, you would know that rapid fire frame fusions are pretty hot right now, so much so that the current most used weapon inside of PVE is the Null Composure. And what's crazy about that is the Cartesian Coordinate is arguably a better weapon than the Null Composure, not in terms of ad clear, but in terms of overall boss damage. The Cartesian Coordinate is better because it actually has access to Vorpal Weapon. I'm pretty certain the only reason the Null Composure has more usage than the Cartesian Coordinate is because obviously the Null Composure just comes with a really good roll. It's free to get. Pretty much everybody has it. Not everybody's going to have a good roll on the Cartesian Coordinate. You obviously do need to grind for it. On a positive note though, this is one of the few worldly weapons that actually has its own target farm. The Season of the Splicer part of the Umbral Decoder does have an engram called Shock Trooper, which is guaranteed to either drop a Cartesian Coordinate or a Retrofuturist. Overall, the Cartesian Coordinate is currently one of the best boss damage weapons in the entire game, and if you want to absolutely dunk on your friend's DPS, make sure to snag one of these with Vorpal Weapon. And if you're like me, you know, don't be like me, because last season, I ended up deleting a lot of Vorpal Weapon rolls, and I really regret that now because the weapon wasn't good at that time, and this is just a lesson to all you guys. Make sure you hold on to your weapons because you never know what's going to be meta next. Speaking of regret, coming in at the number 3 spot, we have the Trials of Osiris Linear Fusion Rifle, the Reed's Regret. Now, before I see any comments that are like, Trials is absolute garbage, I'm not stepping foot into Trials, Trials isn't fun, it's a terrible experience, and all I play is sweats, listen here. Trials got a lot better this season, and I would highly encourage everyone to step into that playlist. not just for this linear fusion, but it actually is a lot of fun. Now, when we actually take a look at the Reed's Regrets perk pool, you guys will see that it has a lot of really cool and unique perks for a linear fusion. In the left column, we have things like Surplus, Clown Cartridge, and Triple Tap, and then in the right column, we have things like Firing Line, Adagio, Vorpal, and Harmony. I feel like when it comes to the left perk slot, you're 100% going to want Triple Tap, solely because it is literally going to generate free heavy for you. And then in the right perk slot, I would highly recommend either Vorpal Weapon or Firing Line. Typically, I would just straight up say Firing Line, but Firing Line is currently bugged. I do think it will be the best perk once that bug gets fixed, but it isn't currently giving the right amount of extra damage. Plus, if you are playing solo with this thing, Firing Line really isn't going to do anything because you won't have any teammates to proc it. The only thing that really isn't too great about the Reed's Regret is the fact that it is obviously a stasis weapon, so it's not going to be breaking any elemental shields for you, which kind of does suck, but even then, the main purpose of this weapon is solely for boss damage, and you probably shouldn't be taking this thing into something like a GM anyways. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the Gambit exclusive scout rifle, the Servant Leader. Fun fact, by the way, the Servant Leader is currently the only non-sunset kinetic rapid fire scout in the entire game, so if you want another option, well, you're kind of just out of luck because this is the only one. But thankfully, it is actually pretty good. Now, I don't think I've ever seen Bungie make a more one-sided weapon, and what I mean by that is this thing is probably the worst scout rifle in the game for PvP, solely because it has a 26 zoom, which makes it feel like you're looking through a telescope when using this thing, but in PvE, that 26 zoom is really nice. Generally, when doing GMs and other high-end PvE content, you're going to want to be sitting back as far as you possibly can, and with this thing, I mean, you can sit back pretty goddamn far. You have about 89 meters of range before you're actually going to hit damage fall off. Compare that to something like a Trustee, which has 68 meters before you hit damage fall off. It's not even close. And all that range isn't even the best part. By far the best thing about this weapon is the fact that you can actually get One For All on it, which One For All is already by far one of the best PvE perks in the entire game because it doesn't require a kill to actually proc. All you need to do is hit 3 separate targets and now you have a 35% damage buff. Don't get me wrong, One For All can definitely be a very annoying perk to proc, but it really isn't an issue on this thing because it fires so quickly that you're able to swap targets really fast, so it doesn't really feel like it's that much of a chore to actually proc. Now, pretty much everything I've said about this gun up to this point has been really good, but I'm about to say something that's really bad. So, if you really want a One For All roll, it's gonna take a lot of grinding because Bungie did the thing. You guys already know what the thing is. They put 12 perks in both the left and the right perk column, which makes it so we can never get the rolls we want. Come on, Bungie, stop doing that. I mean, I would be fine with that perk pool only if this gun was dropping really often, but it just doesn't. There have been days I have played Gambit for 3 hours straight and only have gotten one of these to drop, so it just really sucks. But overall, if you do manage to snag a god roll with One For All, first of all, I hate you. Well, obviously I'm just kidding, but you're really lucky. That's all I'm gonna say. Finally, ending off this list at the number 1 spot, we have the Prophecy Sniper Rifle, the Long Walk. Now boys, all I can say is this is one of the spiciest sniper rifles in the entire game, because just take a look at this perk pool. In the left perk slot, we have things like Clown Cartridge, Overflow, and Slide Shot. Then in the right perk slot, the notable perks are Firing Line, Frenzy, and Adrenaline Junkie. Now I really hope I'm not the only one seeing this right now, but if you manage to snag a roll with either Appended or Extended Mag, then Overflow, and then Firing Line, you are going to be able to get an 8-round magazine with a 20% damage buff. By the way, Firing Line is outpacing Vorpal. Vorpal's only 15. So this is literally one of, if not the strongest snipers in the entire game. I mean, think about it. Really, the only sniper you can say that is better than the Long Walk is the Succession. And even then, Long Walk pretty much does everything Succession does. They both have 8 rounds in the mag, they both have a perk that automatically refills the mag, and they both have a perk that gives a massive damage buff. Personally, this is 100% the weapon that I am absolutely going to be grinding out the hardest this season because, you know, your boy still does not have a god roll and I kind of need it. Anyways though, that is pretty much going to be all I have to say for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and a comment below, and if you're new around here, it never hurts to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, it's been Gravely. Peace.